had to switch over the meeting on Zoom. So a very good morning to all of you present here. I hope you all are safe and in best health. I'm Aishwarya Chavan, a content writer and editor at ERF. I will be your host for today, and I welcome you all on behalf of the entire ERF team. Firstly, I would like to cordially invite our respected panel members who would enlighten us today. First and foremost, I would really like to invite Professor S.K. Dhaka sir, who is the president of ERF. I also invite Dr. Vivek Panwar sir, who is the founder and secretary of ERF. Lastly, but not the least, I would like to invite Dr. Palak Balian ma'am, who is the treasurer at ERF. On this important day of World Environment Day, we have gathered here to launch and inaugurate Earthroot Foundation's monthly e-magazine, which will be published on the first day of every month. I'm sure every one of you are excited to witness the ERF's very first magazine. Well, the wait is over. Here we go. Let's have a look. I request Mr. Arjun to please show the magazine on the forum. Hold on, everybody. We're about to show you the first look of a magazine. This is the website of the ERF.
Arjun, your audio is not clear.
Okay. Now?
Yeah, it's okay now.
So here's the first magazine. Let's go through it. This table of content. Cyclone Tauktae in Arabian scene indicates of a link with this climate change by Professor S.K. Dhaka sir. We'll share a link with you and you can visit our website and check out our first magazine. Now I hand over to Aishwarya to continue the program.
So people, you just witnessed our very first magazine of the ERF, which will be published today itself. Well, before moving ahead, I would like to throw some light on our magazine, on how it started and what all does it have. So this idea popped up only a month ago after a quiet brainstorming session between us, the interns. The sole idea of this magazine was to spread the message of the conversation of the environment to as much as people as we can. Apart from the website and all other activities, ERF wanted to do so much more for the environment and for the people. Well, let me tell you that our magazines are not just like any other regular ones. We have tried to be as sensitive and sensible as we can to carefully curate them. Apart from some insightful blogs and articles, we have tried to make them into a more interesting and meaningful collection of information. We have crosswords, poems, eco-tips, news, paintings, and so much more to offer. And do you know what is the best part? It is made for all people of all ages, not just for the grown-ups. With determination in our minds and sensitivity in our hearts, the entire ERF team has made sure that this magazine is going to make a positive impact on the environment and on the minds of the people. I sincerely want to thank Dr. Vivek Panwar sir for giving us the opportunity and encouraging us for the magazine. Thank you, sir. This wouldn't have been possible without your support. I would now like to introduce you all to the entire team and the interns who have put immense hard work in this magazine. So myself, Ms. Aishwarya Chavan, I'm the editor. Mr. Arjun Panwar is the communications and dissemination manager. The associate editor and graphic designer is Ms. Sania Bhakti. We have the super talented content writers, Ms. Khushi Kaushik, Dr. Pooja Tomar, Ms. Shruti P, Ms. Jagriti Hinduja, Ms. Arpita Ganguly, Ms. Rosina Akhtar, and Ms. Sangeeta Pandey. We also have the cartoonists, Ms. Khushi Kaushik and Ms. Rosina Akhtar. Also acknowledge other team members, Ms. Shubhika, Mr. Vipin Kumar, Mr. Kabir Dave, Ms. Aditi Anne, Mr. Kalpik Pimpre, Mr. Saurav Nebnani, and Mr. Sanyukt Kulshestra. Proud of you all, people. Now comes the most awaited part of the webinar. Professor S.K. Dhaka, sir, would be delivering a talk on the current scenario of how cyclones and western disturbances are changing weather in northern India. Sir, I request you to kindly acknowledge us with your talk and knowledge.
Yeah, thank you very much, Aishwarya. It is really wonderful and I'm really glad. And I wish to congratulate the entire team. I think it is amazing. It's just beginning, but you know, when you put one step ahead, then definitely we are waiting, then this is beginning and then the second, third and fourth and so on and so forth. So you can climb to the Everest.
True.
So yeah, so these are of course very small efforts, but the most important point which I realized, the teamwork. This is quite reflected by putting efforts from many of you. And somebody is very smart in making cartoons, somebody is very good in editing, somebody is in writing, somebody is composing, making cover papers. And I'm really happy that you have taken up this in a very strong spirit, despite the fact that we are all passing through this COVID second wave. It has been devastating, but your courage and your spirit is no longer less. So I really once again congratulate the entire team and especially Dr. Vivek Kumar, you team, Aishwarya, then Arjun, and I could see that. I think some of our students, I think they are here, Karan, Jagriti, and Dr. Rangoli Bhatnagar, Dr. Palak Balyan. And I think let it be very small today, no problem. But the only thing is that whether our message is going strongly and in a very significant way. So we are looking for this, that means one of the objectives of this Earth Road Foundation is especially to look carefully to monitor our environment. And if you want to see our weather, and you know, it changes every day. And if it changes every day, then it is exciting. Means how can you, if you look outside early in the morning and if you can just by your experience that this is going to happen, this would be our particulate matter. And maybe after 2 or 3 hours, it will be very clear. And your judgment will be synchronized with mathematical simulation and all this. So I'm just waiting for that particular period to many of you. Then when you see outside and you can tell, okay, this is going to happen. So because this is like you are in sync with nature. And if you are, then of course you will care about nature. So nature is something really needs a lot of love from the human. And we are the people who destroyed this. But we are the, of course, many of us, they will say it definitely. So with this, I think I'd like to start my, I think it's a brief, maybe 20 or 25 minutes presentation. So can I share my screen?
Yeah,
Can
you
you
can,
allow me?
yeah, yes, you can share, sir.
Okay. Okay. So before I start, again, I think I send my best wishes on World Environment Day. And this reminds us that definitely we have to be very, very careful about our environment. And I think the day which the team has chosen to have the first e-magazine, you know, is thrilling. It is something like if somebody is going to make a movie, let it be a very small movie, but you are having a big team. And this team is definitely a trustworthy, very constructive, inspirational, having vision for life, how we can really proceed. So let me come to the point that I just try to show you some of the glimpses that how the environment is changing. And all of us would agree after the typhoon passes, and not only like in India, but at many places in the world. I give you some examples like in Korea and Japan. So usually there are like 20, 25 typhoons. They appear every season. And then immediately after the typhoon, it's a very clear sky. It means, of course, it is devastating, maybe 2 or 3 days earlier, but eventually when it passes, that it washes out everything. It cleaned the entire country, I mean, atmosphere. And this is what happened, especially I would like to show you a couple of the pictures of Tauktae. And yes, so these are the two recently, they landed over India. One is from the Arabian side, the other is from the Bay of Bengal side. So especially from the Arabian Sea side, it is really extraordinary. Is it in the category of like super cyclone? Because the size of that was very huge, covering like 1,000 kilometer diameter and moving over the land. So it has started from the left side, and then Kerala, Maharashtra, Gujarat, and then turned to the east side, covered the central and the North India, and then finally it touched the Bay of Bengal area, and then it finished. So that was the kind of the scenario. So eventually, this was one of the unique. So it is giving a definitely signal that how intense means how super cyclone is created in Arabian Sea. Does it have any link with the climate change? And of course, people have some early results, preliminary results, because the sea surface temperature over Arabian Sea area is increasing over the last couple of years. And to form the typhoon or cyclone, we require energy from the sea surface. Temperature, of course, is one of the key parameters which basically gives energy. And then it basically forms, then get mature. But before this means it is in the middle way, getting more and more energy. And then it is becoming more intense. And finally, when it lands, there's a huge friction between the winds and the land, and then eventually it dissipate. But in this case, it was totally different, because when it landed over Gujarat area, it basically connected with the Western disturbance. You know, Western disturbance are those which are coming from the west side, and they are very frequent. And especially in the last 2 months, there have been several Western disturbance. So they are smaller in size. There's a cloud formation, but after like few hours, when it reaches, for instance, like over Pakistan area, then crosses the border, and then it gets expanded. And the expansion of these, especially the last two Western disturbances, it happened because Tauktae cyclone has left enough moisture in that area, and which eventually utilized by these Western disturbance. They expanded, and from Delhi to Jammu Kashmir and all this covering several hundred kilometers area, there was a moderate rainfall, and then the weather conditions changed completely. So these are some unique features which is basically associated with the Tauktae typhoon. So, you know, this is a kind of like picture you could see. This is one day before the landing. And could you see these bands? These bands, they are very large, covering this almost entire India. So these are outer bands. Then we are having inner bands. And this is eye of this typhoon. And on this side, Arabian side, you can see these are the different cloud bands structure. And in between there are gaps. So when the cloud bands appear overhead, then it rains. Otherwise, in between, there's a break in the rain. But this system is moving this way, so the band is also moving. So these bright bands, they basically represent the satellite picture represents the cloud bright band because of the water vapor content. And when it moves, so these are the basically very special characteristics for any typhoon. It moves containing huge band structure. But in this particular case, you know, the distance from this point to this point is like 1,000 kilometers or more. And it has covered the almost entire land area. If you just compare this with like Korean or Chinese or Japanese typhoon, which basically originate in the Pacific, and they also move northward, and then they turn eastward. The same here. It started from here, then it touches like 20-degree north, and then it takes a turn here because of the strong wind jet, which is coming from west side to east side. They take this. So that is the basic characteristics of the typhoon. After the typhoon, you could see that it's a blue sky. Means everything is clean. Even in general, we do not have this kind of like blue sky. So this is the advantage that the entire atmosphere is cleared by the huge rain pattern and the very strong wind, which has eventually take away all particulate matters along with it, and the entire Indian subcontinent is free from all kind of the pollutants. This is the picture of Yas on 26th May here, but this is happening from this side. So you could see that within a gap of like 1 week, we had another typhoon, another cyclone. That cyclone from the Bay of Bengal is very common, and they basically land over Odisha and this Kolkata area, West Bengal, and even little further down to Andhra area. So these are, even every year we are having several cyclones, but you know, with the advent of the technology we are having now, we are having a good satellite imagery, and at the same time we are having I think several tens of Doppler radar, which are located in this coastal area, then this side, and then in between, and even over Delhi we are also having one. So they are very, very helpful to detect the exact location, movement, and the movement in the sense that what is the speed, what is the estimated time, if it basically originate around here, then how much time it will take to reach up to this area, and its approximate path, because the path is also important so that you can identify that whether it will hit West Bengal or Odisha or which area, means within of like 100 kilometer kind of like situation. So that now the situation is this, that because we are having a very good warning system, and in the previous case like Tauktae, I think there were about like 104 deaths, and the deaths I think occurred more over Gujarat area because probably the preparation were not so, I mean, they were very good, but the speed of the wind, the tangential wind, outside wind, they were very, very strong. They thought that after landing, the Tauktae cyclone will reduce its speed, but it did not. It basically got energy from the western disturbance. and then it continued moving over the land with the same speed. And that's basically caused a lot of damage for humans and the property and like that. I show you what is the scenario today. We are celebrating Environment Day, 5th June. And let's see that what is the situation over Delhi. We are having several stations, and these stations are basically coming from Purple Air Network. This Purple Air Network, Dr. Palak Balian has worked a lot, and she has been instrumental in fixing all these small sensors, smart sensors, and then they made a network. So within 10 minutes, all this data goes to internet, and you can see the spatial distribution clearly. So because to talk about the environment, I think we must have some kind of information. This is early at 8 a.m. I was just going through, I prepared for you people. Maybe you must have like some basic idea. So this is Delhi here, we are around here. So we are having a cloud patch. So if you look outside, so I guess most of you there, you are in Delhi and within like maybe 100 kilometer. So you could see that you are having a medium size of the clouds. They are located, and therefore it's not very blue sky today. Now, if you are having clouds, then definitely it influences our humidity, temperature, and wind speed, means everything. So let's see. This is the scenario of PM 2.5 over Delhi this morning, and 83. This is where I am now located, Dhaka. This is just 10 meters from this place where I'm talking now, only 10 meters outside. And if you just see Gurgaon, then Noida, eastern side, and Ghaziabad area, and then central Delhi. Unfortunately, some of these stations, these gray circles, field circles, they are not functioning today. And but you must have some kind of like basic idea that there is a variability in the PM 2.5. So this variability, like you are having 105 here, 116, 83, but it may be like half of this. So what are those I mean causes and the sources? So there is one basic amount which is mixed already in the air, and it will remain, let's say it is 60. But there are some local parameters which basically impose on this, and it's exactly like modulation. So you are having carrier frequency, and then you are having the signal frequency, and both when you combine together, so you are having a modulating kind of a situation. So this is exactly what is happening here. So if you look at, because if you look from the atmospheric physics point of view, there is a quasi-periodic behavior of the wind, temperature, humidity, because Delhi is quite vast, like you are having a 50 kilometer by 50 kilometer area. And in this case, things are changing. You are having some local factories, they are operating. You are having some area highly dominated by the transport, but some area is free from all this. And because like last year, it was completely shut down, but this year, I think maybe 30%, 40% traffic was still on. People were using their, so the lockdown was not so strict. It was, I think, more flexible this year. So, but nevertheless, so you got some idea that this is PM 2.5. Still, the value is a bit larger if you just compare with WHO, like should be 50 or 40 microgram per meter cube. But at some places, it's still because we, you know, in Delhi during this summer season, the wind direction is changing rapidly. especially in winter, you are having more northward and west from west side and north side. But now it's like 50-50. In many cases, it is coming from the west side, maybe like 60%, but it's also coming from south side and the east side. So you are having all kind of the mixture in the environment of atmosphere of Delhi region. Now we have realized that maybe if you take data of PM 2.5 for the last 2 weeks, so you can see that there is a huge peak in between. And this is all happening because of the dust. The dust is arriving from the Rajasthan side. It gets mixed. So usually in the night, we are having sometimes peaks. Early morning, of course, is a very natural peak because of the low temperature and high humidity. But sometimes if it is a strong wind, it wipe out, we do not have much. But when you are having high PM 2.5 all over Delhi, so the sources are not local. So the sources for those kind of like when you are having a large area enhancement, it is certainly have a source of transport, whether it is coming from the Rajasthan side or maybe coming from small burning because of the leftover of the wheat in Haryana. And we were having all evidence for that. Just have a look that this is 29th May, PM 2.5, and here is a 5th June. This is the peak today. But in between, you can see that there was a peak around like 2nd June, early morning and the afternoon. And this peak basically have a link with the dust storms coming from the west side. Of course, this particular part, like before this 29th May and around here, it was completely washed out by the Yas. And before that, 1 week before, it was completely washed by Tauktae type of cyclone. Just have a look about the humidity over Delhi. So you could see that is a high humidity. It's around like 90, 90, 93, 95, and 100. Maybe it is wrong here, maybe partly, but it's a high humidity. You could see that if you're sitting outside or you are in the room, and if you don't use any fan or something, that you will start getting sweating. And this is all happening because of the high humidity. So you need air conditioning and all this. So overall scenario you could see over Delhi is more or less same, but the variation is from like 90 to 95, 96, something like this. And this is the temperature distribution. I'm talking this is today, what is happening today, because this is 5th June. So you must have some kind of the imprint in your mind for the next 5th June 2020. And till then you could see that the temperature was something like around 30 degrees. Humidity was very, very high. And the PM 2.5 was varying from 60 microgram to 120 microgram. Now, the question is this, that what is the role of this typhoon and western disturbance? If the frequency is increasing, what they can do? Now, just focus on the top panel. This is a satellite data, and starting from 2007 to 2013, nearly 14 here. And 0 to 15 kilometer altitude. And if you see around 2007 to 2008 and around here, it's the blue area. I'm talking about troposphere. The first 10-15 kilometer part of the biosphere in which we all live together, our vegetation, animals, humans, activities, and all this. But you can see that in 2009 and 10 is a warm, maybe if it is like 1.5 degrees centigrade more, then again we are having colder troposphere. And then around here is little warmer. So we will check it like being atmospheric physicists. So this is our duty to check that what is happening now. in the last few years. We have data now. I would like to see this, that these large scale phenomena and happening frequently and covering large area, what is happening means in the troposphere. And you know, if there is a change in the temperature, and the change in temperature from climate point of view, it basically affects the agriculture production, and especially the production of the different crops, whether it is wheat, rice, sorghum, or like jawar, bajra, and all these millets. So they are very sensitive to the temperature. And you know, in India, we are having about like 60-70% people, they are agriculture dependent. And there are many, I think the livelihood is basically coming from agriculture-based production and all this. And at the same time, about 60% crops, they depend on the rainfall, rain pattern. And 40%, even less than 40% we are having, they are basically dependent on like irrigation, well connected irrigation, whether it is electricity driven or it is through rivers and all. But big part of India is still. So, but you have realized that it's a big change. Now it is happening. We are having heavy intermittent rain pattern. There's a very strong rain for a short period, but it is causing flood. And if there is a flood, then definitely the crops and the animals, they just, I think it's a big damage. Sometimes we are having a drought in some area, means excess of water and excess means lacking of the, rainfall. So redistribution is very heavily changing. It means you can see the variability of the rainfall is changing. So we do not talk about much of the total content of the rainfall, but we are talking about the distribution of the rain. So we need to see that, means in the changing scenario, we must have some kind of information about the temperature or over the oceans and Arabian Sea and Bay of Bengal area, that in the last 10 years or 15 years, how the things have changed. And if it is changed and the temperature is rising, then if it is rising, then in future, we are supposed to have more cyclones. And if we are having more cyclones, then it is really, we have to prepare, means from climate point of view. So another, I think, important point I'd like to share with you. This is a large data of cosmic satellites, a group of 6 satellites. And you can see that these are the different months: January, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August. So summer here, and you are having winter. But you remember, this is 0. On the left side, you are having southern hemisphere. Positive side, we are having northern hemisphere. So you can see that during summer, from northern hemisphere point of view, basically it is winter of southern hemisphere. June, July, August is the winter for southern hemisphere. And you are having the coldest area located between 10 to 30 kilometer altitude. In the northern hemisphere, you are having colder area precisely during winter, November, December, January. So this is I think about 10 years of average data, which anybody can have a look. And it's a snapshot of thermal structure of atmosphere. My next question, why I'm showing this, that these features can change. You remember here that in the southern hemisphere, the colder part is about like 20 degree colder than Northern Hemisphere winter. So this is a significant change in Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere atmospheric conditions. So let's move. So we have to also see that whether these kind of the scenarios is going to change the climatic conditions under having more cyclones and more western disturbance. So I show you quickly that, just remind you what happened last year. So it's a scene of like on different stations, PM 2.5, and 1st March to end of March. And when lockdown started, so there was a huge reduction. But this kind of the reduction we also have seen by passing out of the cyclones. I mean, that is little plus part that it clear everything for you. At least you can breathe for several days. Then, so these are like variation of the, because I was trying to connect with you guys that wind speed is one of the key parameters which can change your pollutants. It can take away. So the diurnal variability, I mean, in 24 hours, how the particulate matter changes, the wind speed can define this. So you can see this is a sample of like 1st April, 2nd, 3rd, and during daytime, noon to nearly 3 p.m. So you are having strong wind speed 2 to 3 meters per second. So therefore, in the afternoon, in general, we are having less PM 2.5. So this is one of the region. And just to remind you that what happened to nitrogen dioxide, it's also reduced. And if it reduced, then it has enhanced ozone, and ozone enhancement was not good for health purpose. So people have worked a lot to understand this kind of the chemistry in between, I mean, by putting together with the dynamics. So I stop here, I think. That's all for today. So just to give you a kind of the glimpse and some basic idea that how the large scale motions and how the large scale circulations in the atmosphere can change entirely the dynamics and chemistry. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful talk and educating us on this topic. We also appreciate your efforts on making this informative PPT for us. The fact that you covered so many aspects regarding to the climate, like from the wind velocity, from the crops, from the impact overall on the nation, it's really informative and was just much needed. And you tried to put it in a nutshell and make it as short as possible. So really thank you for that. Well, the cyclones have indeed disrupted our nation and have not only created havoc physically, but also on the mental health of people. That is proven. The urgency of protecting our environment is growing day by day. Individual tasks and collective efforts need to be taken to cater the climate change threat. I thank you again, sir, on behalf of everybody. I'm now sure that the audience has a lot of doubts and questions to ask after listening to your valuable information. So let's proceed with the question and answer sessions. I request the audience to please step in with your questions.
Good morning,
Yeah,
sir.
please. Yeah, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm Jagriti. I have
Yeah.
a query that will cyclones ever be able to change climate? I mean, the global warming that we are facing, the issue of global warming, will it ever be able to solve this kind of a problem?
I think it's a very good question. Very important to think in this direction. And you know, when the number of the cyclones will increase, then the amount of the moisture they carry from the oceans or the sea area, and they are dumping over the land area. And if it is done more frequently, then definitely But we really don't know. We have to see that if the water vapor content is increasing, and this water vapor content, if it is more, then it can also absorb more radiation. So it may be two-way. Of course, one is it makes cool maybe after it passing through, but if the moisture retains more, then I think it would be very good to have the numerical simulation by taking the two parameters together. One is this, the cooling effect, versus the moisture which is left, how it is being treated with the radiation, whether it is absorbing more, and the heating effect versus cooling effect, and what would be the net effect. But that's really very good. So at the moment, probably I can't say 100% sure that this will happen, but some area maybe cooling effect more than grabbing this solar radiation and making it more heating. And if the cooling effect is more at the ground level and surface level, and the heating is more at the upper level, so that may have a long-term impact in cloud formation and wind circulation. So, but this is certainly a new idea. Thank you, Jagriti. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And
So,
sir, one thing
yeah.
more. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
One thing more, that you talked about the change of direction of wind. So what is actually forcing the wind to change the direction?
Yeah, I think the first fundamental parameter is the pressure system. So when the low pressure system creates and it moves, so when there is a movement, and even the few millibar pressure difference makes a lot of sense from wind point of view. So that is the only parameter which basically keeps on moving, and accordingly the wind speed and direction changes.
Okay, sir. So that means the cyclones. I've heard about cyclones, the low pressure cyclone and the high pressure cyclones. I read
Yeah.
about them. So are they affecting our weather differently?
Of course, yeah, because I have a clip here. Can I share again? And if I stop this, and then I can show you probably. Just a moment. I try this. I think मुझे अभी थोड़ा मुश्किल है वो मिलना, but I would like to tell you, because it depends on the coverage on the ground. In general, like this Tauktae was about like 2 times larger than in general what we have seen on the Bay of Bengal side. So naturally, the amount of the water content, water vapors, rainfall pattern, in terms of the wind speed, etc., it was totally different. So the impact would be definitely different.
Thank you so much, sir.
Next, anybody else? So thank you very much, and I'm really happy, and keep doing this, keep thinking. India needs a lot of climate scientists, atmospheric
Sir,
meteorologists.
excuse me, sir. Mr. Tushar Chopra has raised a hand. He wants to ask something.
Yeah, please.
Good morning, sir. I would like a small question. Warming effect in the form of the sun.
Sure, because if you are having the temperature is increasing in the ocean, so the evaporation will be much larger. Reaction surface and at large. So वो actively उसको increase करेगा. Definitely, I'm happy you are He's the one of the most intelligent high school student. Yeah, anybody
Thank
else? Yeah. मुझे ना अभी दूसरी एक मीटिंग है. Can you continue on all together?
We really
Aishwarya,
appreciate your
thank you.
time. Thank you for
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah.
We look
Yeah.
to more sessions with you.
Much Aishwarya, and you did a wonderful job.
Thank you so much for your words.
Thanks all participants and students, and I'm really happy that we are all joining on Environment Day. So it makes us more responsible citizen of India. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So
Sir, before you
technically-
leave, may I ask everyone to switch on their camera so that we can take a screenshot or picture? If everybody,
Okay.
so please open your video, start the video. So I request everybody to start their video.
So Vivek, you are richest person to have the maximum, I think, insightful and strong manpower with you.
We are having the younger generation, sir.
Yeah.
They are the future of this country. Yeah.
We see Char.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yes, sir. I'm-
Yeah.
Okay, Aishwarya, now you continue.
So
please.
अभी आपका 10th का,
Yes.
Yeah. is it okay?
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
So thank you. And, wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
So have a nice day.
Yeah. You too. Bye-bye.
So people, after the insightful session, I now request the secretary, Dr. Vivek Panwar, sir, to please step in to deliver the vote of thanks.
I'm sorry I got disconnected. I'm not
No
at
problem.
home, so that's why having some internet problem. So thank you, Aishwarya, for organizing such a wonderful talk. And first of all, I would like to extend
sir.
my thanks to Professor S.K. Dhaka for giving this insightful talk to the younger generation on cyclones and the PM 2.5 formation. So it is really important to understand how cyclones are generating in the oceans, especially in the Arabian Sea side, because it is not so common to have cyclones in Arabian Sea. And it is because of climate change we are facing. Sea surface temperature is increasing day by day. It is because of sea surface temperature. The more temperature is there, so we are having the low pressure zone and we are having more powerful cyclones. So thank you, sir, for giving this insightful talk to all the audience. Thank you very much. Now come to the magazine part, for which we gather here to launch. So first of all, I would like to extend thanks to the editor, Aishwarya, as he told that this idea just
Thank you,
came
sir.
1 month before, and the way you guys have, turn out this, it's really wonderful, fantastic. Congratulations to you and your team. Sanya is here. Okay. So I would also like to thank Sanya, who did a wonderful job for editing as well as graphic designing. Arjun, Jagrati, and I didn't remember everybody's name. So congratulations to all of you and thanks to all of you, all the content writers, cartoonists who were involved in this magazine. And I wish that in the coming months, we will have more wonderful articles and blogs in our magazine. And I hope people will like it. I once again congratulate to all of you.
Definitely.
Yeah. So as all of you maybe don't know that our Root Foundation, we started in the late 2018 with the thought in our mind that we will aware people about the environmental problems we are facing in our day-to-day life. So because of lockdown, we are not able to initiate the, to work on the ground. Earlier, we were working on ground only. So lockdown gives us an opportunity to come virtually and to aware people in different ways. So it is also a good thing that using this platform, we can reach, entire nation, not even in India, even outside. Our website is having a very good reach nowadays. Every day we are having more than 1,000 views on our website. So it is really wonderful. So our main idea was before lockdown to work on the waste segregation. So waste segregation, we have made all the plans, but due to lockdown, we couldn't initiate it. But once the situations are normal, we will do our groundwork as well, and we will try to reach each and every house. We will start with the small societies in the urban areas, and we will try to aware people how to segregate waste. Because if we start segregating the waste, the plastic waste we can recycle, and the wet waste everybody is generating in the house that can be used to turn into fertilizer. Although if we segregate properly at home, the waste will not reach at the dumping site, and if it will not reach at the dumping site, there will be no fire over the dumping site. Less emissions we will have. If there is a less emission, definitely people will contribute to the environment, and if there is less emission, then definitely it will contribute to the environment. Like we will have low temperature values, and definitely in the long term it will contribute to climate change as well. So these are the small things which we can initiate at home at ourselves. Also, we should try to avoid the single-use plastic. So this message I want to give on each and everybody who joined this today's workshop. And that's it. And I would again congratulate to all of you for joining and for initiating such a wonderful monthly e-magazine, Earth Root. And I hope you all will continue with Earth Root Foundation, and you try and you give your best to aware people in the society. Thank you very much, Ishu. Thank you.
Thank you, kind words, especially for believing in us this opportunity. Like, I know it was just 1 month before, but you still have, that was what me. And also you had a vision for ERF years back, and globally, so it's to do. So we appreciate all your efforts, sir, and we still look forward to expanding all this. So as you see, we reached one of you for your value. We, the ER, everyone a happy world in one day, and we hope we could keep showering our love and support always. And I request to please go through our magazine and also stay tuned every month. To hear from you, your feedback, also any suggestions are welcome. Nice day and stay safe. We'll see you all shortly in the upcoming webinars. Thank you. Take care.
Should we stop right now?
You can leave the meeting.
Okay.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.